hidden in mystery, cloaked in shadows, deadly warrior assassins, or comical figures from the 80s? Let's find out on Ninja. What are they? Ninjutsu? Ninja? What are we talking about? Well, the historical background is actually really, really cool. Ancient Chinese military texts like Sun Tzu's Art of War actually discusses the use of deception, espionage, and unconventional warfare tactics. And during the Tang Dynasty, the 7th to the 10th century, the Chinese monks, scholars, and military leaders had a huge influence on Japanese culture. And they take with them, obviously, some of these ideas that were influenced or are used in Sun Tzu's Art of War, the idea of deception and espionage. And that makes its way into how things are done in the courts and on military battlefields and whatnot. In Japan, during the Heian period, so 794 to 1185, the use of stealth warriors were used by nobles and warlords throughout the era. During the Kamakura period, which is 1185 to 1333, the rise in samurai's warfare on the battlefield also coincided with a rise need for stealth and espionage. But at this point, we still don't have what we consider to be actual ninja. So during the Muromachi period, which is 1336 to 1573, the shinobi or ninja were actually used for the first time. They actually became a distinct warrior class. So this is the first time that we actually see what we consider a Japanese ninja. But were they really what we think of now in modern terms? Historically, the primary role for ninja was espionage, infiltration, sabotage, guerrilla warfare, decoys and deception, and sometimes assassination. Their tactics included night operation, disguises, doing smoke as distractions, setting fires to insides of buildings, and sort of getting lay of land. They were kind of used as sort of scouts and whatnot. So anytime you needed someone to not ride in and show a force, but really come in and see what's going on, this is when you bring in a ninja. The clothing of the ninjas traditionally were nothing like what we think of now. So they didn't wear black. They wore practical clothing that would have helped them blend into their surroundings. So they would be dressed as peasants. They would be dressed as monks. That you would have, for nighttime things, you don't wear black. You wear dark blues, you wear browns, because they actually blend in instead of making a silhouette. The iconic all-black image that you get of ninja actually come from kabuki theater and whatnot. They would be used as bodies off stage or moving things around on stage that are dressed all in black. And I'll put a picture somewhere here. And they would actually move things about on stage, kind of like our stage crew today in theater. And so that's where that imagery comes from. What weapons did they use? This is a fun one. The ninja toe, or that most people think of, it's a shorter version of what most people think of as katana, only it's straight edge and not curved. Chances are, it wasn't actually a thing. It was probably heavily influenced, or at least the idea of it was influenced by more old Japanese style swords, which were just like the Chinese jin, the straight sword, straight edged, one-sided, but not a specific ninja sword. Shuriken were absolutely a thing, so shuriken are throwing stars. They would use multi-purpose tools like shovels and whatnot. We would have ropes and caltrops and all of these types of fun ninja tools that you would use for specific things. And you would either be able to make them on hand, or you'd have a set depending on what your training was. And this is another really interesting fact about ninja. There were actual, this is cool, It's really neat. Historically, they were actual ninja clans. So you would know that in this area, if you knew how to find them, go to them. And these were the people that trained. They specifically trained as ninjas, which is really, that's kind of cool. During the Tokugawa and Edo periods, the rise of, or the need for ninjas, it kind of declined, especially during Edo period, it was more of a peaceful age. People weren't walking around going into duels and going into battle. Things became much more peaceful. So what happened to the ninja? Just like everybody else, just like a lot of the samurai even, they became bodyguards, they became escorts. Obviously the need for espionage was still around, but they weren't necessarily going out for hit runs and things like that. So it was the 1980s, I remember, ninjas were all the craze. You could open a magazine and get throwing stars and nunchucks and ninja outfits for $13.99 or whatever it was back in the age. And so we have this really interesting view of what a ninja is versus the reality of ninja. There's a lot of really great resources out there. I highly recommend Anthony Cummins' books on the actual history of the shinobi, the ninjas. I put a link in the link below on his stuff. And if you guys like more of this type of stuff, I'd love to talk more about it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.